welcome to the Stafford Excellence EdTalk podcast, where we celebrate the incredible brilliance and excellence of our Stafford County Public School educators. Today on the podcast, I'm so incredibly excited as we welcome Chris Lawson to our very first podcast, a rock star high school math teacher at the North Stafford High School. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Dan. I'll just correct you on the end of that. It's the world's greatest high school, North Stafford.
That's right. Well, hey, I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad you agreed to do this. How are you doing? Are you ready? As we speak right now, we are about 2 days from welcoming our 30,000 kids back to Stafford. So, how are you feeling?
It's Friday. It's the Friday before. You remember that feeling of trying to prolong the moment when you actually walk out of the classroom for the last moment before the weekend, and juggling the thought of, do I come back during the weekend? Do I try to pull a Sunday morning, Sunday night? But and I've done all of those variations. But yeah, approaching this week was a fun opportunity.
Nice. So this podcast, I kind of want to break it down for everyone watching or listening. This is going to be a weekly thing that we break into 3 parts, and essentially the first part is going to be all about your story, and then your excellence, and then finally your thoughts. And this is going to come out every single week to really highlight the incredible excellence. We have so many amazing things, amazing educators just like you, all across our school division, and that's really the goal. So let's get right to it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris.
Yeah, I'm what it seems to be like many in Stafford County. I'm not actually from Stafford County. I'm born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. Lived there for the first 25 years of my life, and then long story short, I met my wife through social media, and then next thing I know, I'm moving to Virginia, and a year goes by, and jumped from job to job. But at that moment, I knew I wanted to be an educator and was working on getting my licensure. And sure enough, I had a couple interviews. I interviewed at a school in Spotsylvania County, and then I interviewed at North Stafford, and it was an easy decision.
That's awesome, and we're glad that you chose Stafford over Spotsy, especially at the world's greatest high school. So did you have a teacher or anyone who had a positive impact on your life? Or did you have, that person, that champion who kind of had those characteristics that you carry into your classroom today?
Absolutely. I mean, and I have a weird skill of being able to rattle off my entire high school schedule for some reason. Like, I remember every single class, the order that it was in, the teachers. But I am a high school math teacher, and I always kind of reflect back on what my high school math teachers did for me, and the moments that they were able to connect with me. I actually had the rare fortune to during my student teaching, I was able to be in the classroom that I used to learn in, which was a cool opportunity. I reached out to the school, and they said, you can come here and student teach, and was working with my Algebra 2 teacher, Mrs. Bennett, and so it was kind of fun connecting there. But and I over the years I've learned that teachers come in many different venues. My high school swim coach, he was a teacher at the school. I never had him as a teacher in the classroom, but I mean, he taught me a lot of things as a coach. I also am I'm also one of the high school swim coaches at North Stafford High School, and I try to model the things that I've learned and watched him do. I also had the great opportunity once I graduated high school to help coach with him as well. So he taught me as a swimmer. He taught me as a coach. So shout out to you, Mr. Shaver.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you were in the same math class that you had math in as a student, and then also your swim coach. That's amazing. Something I always tell, paraprofessionals and substitute our daily subs, and really anyone who comes in contact with kids is that they can also be that champion and that person. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the classroom teacher. Everybody has such an impact. So that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your excellence. I remember meeting you years ago at, I think it was the Jostens Renaissance Conference. I saw when North Stafford was down there. I may be mistaken. And I've also followed you on Twitter. But the coolest thing was a couple of years ago, I think you had one of my former students.
Yes.
And then you reached out. Yeah, Diego, yeah. And I was just like, that's so cool. I love that our Barrett kids went to North Stafford. And I just thought it was so neat. So tell us about a best practice or an innovation or anything you do in the classroom that you're just really proud of.
Wow. So I've been thinking about this, and I could name a lot of different things that I've gone through, and every single school year has been different. Stafford County does a really good job of providing good opportunities to learn different things and different methods. But I really was excited when you asked me to come onto the show, because it's going to give me an opportunity to talk about the Modern Classroom Project. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but I had just signed off from the Google Meet from the entire day with virtual students last year. And I just thought to myself, this is just broken. And I don't want to say fortunately or unfortunately, but I mean, being in a virtual setting was clearly a catalyst for this mindset. And I just got to researching, and I stumbled upon an article on edutopia.com, or .org. I can't remember the extension, but anyway, so it led me to an article, had a video that featured some brilliant educators, Kareem Farah, Kate Gaskill, and it talked about this concept called Modern Classroom, and just a brief description of it. It's changing and moving away from the whole traditional setting. It's got three basic pillars. It's blended learning, and it's self-paced for the individual students, and it also involves a mastery-based setting. So it doesn't allow the students to move on from a content until they've actually shown mastery. And you can agree, being an elementary teacher, that when it comes to math is very sequential, and if you have gaps in there, their mastery can struggle. So I discovered this, shared it with some of my colleagues, and I also had a paraprofessional in one of those classes, and we just kind of bought in, and I had the great opportunity. So I took a chance. I reached out to Kareem Farah, and
wow, that's awesome.
He said, hey, let's have a conversation. And I was not expecting this. I mean, he's the CEO of this nonprofit organization, and I just totally in debt to him. And he was willing. I mean, like within a week, we're sitting down, we're talking on a Zoom meeting for a good half hour or so, and he definitely informed me of this opportunity for a scholarship to take a course, because there's a free course that any educator can take. But there's also a paid course, and he mentioned that there was going to be the scholarship coming out, and told me to apply. And so I applied, and I was accepted, which was awesome.
That's amazing, yeah.
Even got to do it with a colleague at North Stafford along, so we kind of have like a cohort.
Okay.
And I must have been insane, because I decided to do it during the winter when swimming is occurring.
Oh, geez.
When COVID is insane. But we got through it, and had some really good discussions. Learned a lot of cool stuff. Learned a lot about myself and education. And then when the spring semester came, I kind of rolled it out in like a very light version.
Sure.
And I don't want to say to my surprise, like it was to my hope. My hopes were answered, that we got nothing but positive feedback. And it was really cool to bring that up because we just had open house night on Tuesday and got to see some of my former students that were in those classes that I got to roll it out with, and they were singing its praises, and
That's good
I,
stuff.
I kind of thought in the back of my mind, like, I don't remember paying them to say this, so it's good that they really appreciated this.
That's incredible, Chris. And when kids say that, when you don't set them up or anything, that's how powerful it is.
It is, and it's such a conviction. It's such a clarification that you are doing something that's benefiting them, and that's really what I want to do. I'm really excited to roll it out, just kind of in a more enhanced way coming up next week.
So I heard two things there. One of our big audiences of this podcast is our new teacher cohort, our Mentor 360 program. And I heard you say that you took a risk. And I think a lot of times teachers are afraid of that. But I know so many of the administrators across our county are so willing for you to do what's truly best for kids. And I know Dr. Hornick and my old principal, Kim Austin, that's what it was all about. So taking that risk and doing what's best for the kids. And I think COVID really made us pivot, at least like you were saying. For me, I was also looking at that. We were all virtual, and I'm like, some of these things are not working. I'm not reaching all kids right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and you said something that has stuck with me, I think, since my first year. I mean, it was very early on in my first year that Dr. Hornick, told me while we were, just walking somewhere, I can't remember, but he just said, as long as it's putting the kids first, then nothing else matters. And I've just kept with that, and that was kind of circling my head when I was doing some research, and I was like, yeah, this is only putting the kids first. I'm in tow, but yeah.
And that's such magic. And reaching out and taking a chance. You said you reached out to Kareem and he got back to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking that works. What do we have to lose whenever we reach out to these people? And in the end, it's all about our kids. That's awesome. That is obviously why you're an example of Stafford County excellence, Chris. Putting the kids first, adapting your instruction for what they need. So now to get into kind of the final part of our podcast, this is all about your thoughts. So, it's the beginning of the school year, and for some of our kids, they haven't been back in our classrooms since March 2020, since the beginning of the pandemic. Some of them have suffered immeasurable loss. There's so much that they're going to be bringing with them into our classroom. So what are some things that you do to kind of get the year going? What's a favorite strategy you have, or a go-to to establish community, anything to kind of get the year pumping?
Well, I can tell you my normal ways of handling the first day, were not what I'm going to do this year. And they were never really my favorite, but it was just kind of what I thought was right. The house cleaning stuff, passing out the books, the syllabus, getting them connected on the Remind accounts and all that stuff, and making sure they're sitting still and quiet and paying attention to all the paperwork. That's all gone out the window. And I'm just changing things up. And it was my mindset to really just focus on connecting with the kids on the first week, like the entire first week. I'm not saying like the first couple of days. I'm saying the entire first week, doing a bunch of activities to connect with them. And it was so exciting to hear our administration on the first day encouraging us to do this. And I thought, wow, I mean, just the opportunity to really get to know these kids, just take the opportunity, learn what path that they've gone through.
Yeah.
What loss have they encountered? What triumphs have they encountered? How have they changed as a student? How can I help them become a better a better student. So really, I'm also one of the cheesiest and corniest teachers probably in the county, and so
Hey, that's the way to go.
I'm currently assembling this quasi first week Olympics.
Okay.
So just and I'm math teacher. I like competition. I like sports, and
Sure.
so just doing a bunch of activities, and we may or may not keep score. They're fake points. They're not even grades. But it's been fun to tell colleagues saying how when do you start teaching, and I tell them I'm really waiting until on or after the second Monday, and they just bug eyes, and it's been fun to tell them like why take the chance, get to learn the kids.
Man, there's so much power in that. I think sometimes as educators, we're so guilty of saying, we honor and we value establishing relationships, but sometimes we don't put the strategies or the time behind it like you're saying. So to take that first week or two to totally, form that community, get to know the kids, man, that gives me goosebumps. I'm just so excited. Yes.
Well, and I'll give you a little bit more credit here too. I've taken something from you. I can't remember what Justin calls it. It's like BBC. It's like borrow.
Beg, borrow, steal. Yep.
Beg, borrow, steal.
Yep.
There it is. And and so I've always admired your ability for what you used to do to your classroom. I mean, I bow to you.
Oh, no, Chris.
I'm not really.
You.
And so luckily I now have a way to kind of create, my own theme on Canvas now. So because I know you were very powerful with the themes.
Sure.
I've learned a lot from you.
Well, and that's the cool thing about teaching, because everything that I really have done, I learned from someone else. That's why we have such power when we come together. And that's why I'm so excited about this podcast series, because I really think we're going to be able to learn from one another across the county. Sometimes we kind of just get stuck in our rooms because we're on the grind. We're going.
Right.
And we never have a chance to kind of branch out and talk to each other. So that's awesome.
I'm really excited. I mean, I'm looking forward to the other episodes, learning from people that I probably haven't even met yet.
Right, exactly. So to close out, I have a rapid fire round. Final three thoughts, okay?
All right.
So I'm going to start a phrase, and I just want you to finish it, okay? The thing I love the most about teaching is what?
That light bulb moment.
That's perfect, yes. Dear first year teacher me.
It's going to be okay.
So true.
You're going to learn.
Yes. And then finally, Stafford County is the school division to teach because
of its opportunity. It's got a lot of opportunity, and it's shown so much growth.
I so agree. Chris, I just want to thank you. Your excellence is one of the reasons that Stafford County is great, because you're willing to take risks, truly do what's best for kids. And it's just evident. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you do. And thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Dan, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep now. I was exhausted, to be quite honest, but this is a shot of adrenaline. So thank you so much for inviting me. This was fun.
Yeah. And like I said, you're the first episode, so you set the bar high, man. So best wishes for an amazing school year. And we hope you guys tune in to the next edition of the Stafford Excellence EdTalk podcast, out with a new episode every single week.